Vice Chair Carter. Chairman Cannon.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Would anybody like to move to excuse absent commissioners? Hearing none, we will move forward. Invocation. We're going to skip the invocation today. I did not get anybody to do an invocation. Please invoke your higher powers as we move forward. We're going to need them. So we move over to our first presentation, I believe. Are our presenters here from AV Map, Tarzana?
I believe so. Just give me 1 second to put him as a panelist.
Yes, ma'am. Well, guys, I definitely forgot that I put toast in the oven before we started the meeting. I can run a public meeting, but I can't cook toast. It's burnt. Is it appropriate to have our Commissioner Cullen go first, and then we can circle back to AV Map?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, let's go. Zach, are you ready?
Yeah, let me pull up my deal here.
Okay. I can hear you, Patty Bowe.
Okay, thank you.
All right, let me bounce back to you guys and share this real quick, and we'll jump into it. Let me know if you got me.
Yep, we can see it.
Okay, so there's another commissioner on this commission. That we're both on. Teresina, what do you call it? It's the MOA Cultural
Master Plan Committee.
There you go. All right. So the MOA Master Cultural Plan Engagement Survey that we had a conversation about a couple months ago at a board meeting that was presented by Andy, and we'd gone over some of the things that were in it, and I think we were all kind of amazed by the survey response that they got. And the fact that, from a budget standpoint, we don't really have the tools or abilities to run our own survey. I think a lot of the things that they brought to the table as far as questions go are very applicable to what we're trying to accomplish here. And the idea obviously being that we're trying to make sure what we're doing as a commission is what's, of the interest of the public and making sure that we're going in the right direction. So a lot of the questions that they had on this survey, and I have a summary here. It's not quite a summary. It's way more in depth than a summary. It's 27 pages. So not quite a summary, but I think as you see, as we go through this, I'll share this with you guys, and I'll also get the formal survey with all the questions and all the responses to each one of you. And what I would hope is that we all take a look at this, spend the time to review it individually as commissioners, and find things that we find value in, that we want to really try to focus on and stay in line with the vision and mission statement that we've already established. And so some of this stuff, as you can see here, what does culture mean to you? There's a lot of narratives, and usually I don't see this in surveys that we've done, and I thought this was pretty unique. There's a lot of people that were actually commenting in full paragraphs or sentences about what they really feel needs to happen and what culture is to them. I'll scroll through this. I don't want to take up too much time, as I just wanted to be able to kind of not vote on this if you don't want to, but say that instead of us trying to do our own survey, let's accept this as a starting point for where we want to go. But I did want to review it with you guys so that you can kind of see, what the response is from the community. I'm going to scroll down this pretty quickly here. And you can see these questions are, what cultural institutions are you aware of? And you can see the responses here are more geared towards the MOA itself, like trying to figure out if they know that they're in existence and to the population, or if they see other things. But the questions that I think were more pertinent to what we're talking about are more around these. I don't know how fast this is scrolling, so if it's not catching up, let me know.
You're good.
Okay. So this is something like these questions, and I'm unsure of the actual question count, but there were quite a few, and there's a lot to be able to review. But like, how important is the city of Lancaster addressing diversity in the master cultural plan is very applicable to what we're talking about. And you can see there's an overwhelming response here that it's very important to the city and to, our population. And on top of that, how important is it that we address this? Obviously, hugely overwhelming vote for that. And then you can just tell the response on some of these questions is, in a generic survey form, obviously this is something that needs to be addressed and things that we need to take action on. So I don't know if there's a motion here to accept this, but I obviously am not going to go through all 27 pages, but I think we can get a formal outline of this entire survey and the summary, and then we can all go over it and then set our motion forward based on the responses that we found in this survey versus doing our own. And so I wanted to bring it up more as a topic of conversation than actually reviewing it all together in this meeting. So I don't know how you'd like to go forward on this one, Chairman, but you let me know what you think we should do here.
From what I'm seeing right now, I look at these responses. I mean, look at the quotes, look at these. I think that it's appropriate for us to definitely look over this and also the survey as well. I'm inclined to agree with you, to accept this as, this is the kind of responses we were looking for when we set out for our own survey. But let's give commissioners time to view it before we entertain a motion to accept it. And then I think that would be more appropriate. Let's get it out to everybody. And then by next commission meeting, we'll see if this is something that we would definitely want to accept. But from what I saw, this is exactly what we were looking for.
Okay. One thing I'd like to add is just as commissioners, not just accepting it, but coming forth at the next meeting with an overview of actually reading through it, understanding it, and some action plans around what you feel, was important to you personally or the people around you, and action plans to try to attack some of the situations that are out there that are there, not just to accept it, but to come with some ideas on how to address some of these things too.
I would agree as well. That's exactly what we task commissioners to do for this meeting as well, to go over what we've already collected. And that's what we're going to understand. That's what we're going to be doing from now on between commission meetings is going to be, if we, like today, Commissioner Cullen brought to us something that we're going to look over, and then we're going to go in the next commission meeting. We're going to say, this is the data that I got. This is what I got from this data. This is what stood out to me, what was important to me. Here's my action plan, or here's my recommendation. And we will go forward and put that in the report or the recommendation. We'll name it today that we're going to send to the city council. So yeah, Zach is absolutely right. That's exactly what we're going to do. And I hope that that's what commissioners who were at the last meeting did do with the data that we've already gathered. Are there any other questions from commissioners, or Saracina, did you want to add anything?
Sorry, I'm having technical difficulties. No, I just wanted to say that, yeah, I was able to look over their survey, and it is a lot of data. It is very long, like Zach was saying, but I think that it will take some time to go through, and in the paragraphs that people are writing in, and I think there's a lot of rich data in there, and to be able to pull out, what specifically are people looking for? What are their concerns? Is, I think we'll get more information that way than by asking, simple like yes or no, or A, B, and C, or on a scale of 1 to 10. But the only downside is that it will take us longer to go through all that stuff.
We have a month. I'm giving us all a month. Any other commissioners? All right, hearing none, let's move forward. Thank you, Commissioner Cullen and Commissioner Holm, for actually being in this space and representing us in this space and bringing this back to us. I very much appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to going through this in depth because it's all the data that I've gone through so far. I can't wait to add more. So yeah, let's move on. Do we have our presenters from AV Map? Tarzana?
My name is Stephen Updike. I am here from the AV Map and Tarzana Treatment Center.
Hello, Stephen. The floor is yours. Go ahead. Stephen, are you there?
I am here. Sorry about that. And if you have the presentation, if you could bring it up, or you can give me the share and I can bring it up to my side either way.
Can we give Stephen, can we let Stephen share his screen, or do we have, I believe, staff?
He should be able to share. If you scroll over the bottom, just click share screen, you should be able to share your presentation. We can see it.
Okay. Well, hello, my name is Stephen Updike. I work for Tarzana Treatment Center. I'm a health educator there. And I'm here also in regards to the Antelope Valley Marijuana, Alcohol, and Pharmaceutical Prevention Coalition. We are based in at the 10th Street West location. And so thank you, Chair Cannon, and the entire Social Equity Commission for letting us speak for a few minutes. Here are a few lists of our services and several of the locations we do offer, not just in Lancaster. We also have 10 other locations throughout LA County. Tarzana on Oxnard Street is our home office. That's where it started. We do have several facilities out here now, 2 clinics, one on Palmdale Boulevard, one on Lancaster Boulevard. Our facility we offer residential outpatient substance prevention, many other services listed there. The medical assistance for substances based out of I believe also we offer at Palmdale. Here are some of the other services along mental health.
Stephen?
Yes, sir.
Is anybody else having issues hearing Stephen, or is it just me? Hold on, Stephen. I heard you when you responded very well, but you were coming choppy. So let's not start over, but start over from your last sentence so we can make sure we're getting what you're saying.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
It's very much better. Yes.
Okay. I'll try and not move. So here are some other facilities and services we do provide. Areas, some lengths of services. This is not specifically what I do, so if there are questions relating to any of this, on our last slide, we have a 800 number, and I will make sure I give the email address for our coordinator and supervisor, Mary Val, who some of you may be familiar with. Some sober living environments, transitional residential to independent living. So we do provide many health provision services, both primary care, mental health, substance use treatment, MAP services. There's a whole spectrum of our services we do provide in the Antelope Valley and also through LA County. We do accept all insurance, both private and as well as Medi-Cal and Medicare. This is really my thrust, though, today, as it's the Social Justice Commission, is part of our mission is to reduce access and availability to all substances, for youth in the Antelope Valley. That's our Antelope Valley Marijuana Alcohol Pharmaceutical Prevention Coalition mission. And so I want to focus on cannabis for our time together here. And this is kind of just a background of cannabis as it's developed in both California and the Antelope Valley. 2015 medical, 2016 Prop 64, 2017 the Lancaster City Council approved grow, and 17 use regulations. In 2018 they went ahead and lifted.
Stephen, we lost you again. I think we lost you again.
Yeah, we're having trouble hearing your audio in relation to what you were talking about with the city council. That's where we lost you.
Okay. Is that better?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I may have moved. So then, well, let's just go to in 2018, the city council had taken some of the limits off of grows, but it was still limited to cultivation and processing in terms of business interests in Lancaster. But let's fast forward to what has just recently gotten our attention was at the Lancaster City Council meeting last May 11th. And that was this Ordinance 1083 that as we read through this paragraph, it allows for further additional uses of cannabis and industry in the valley. So the last paragraph is what I'll highlight. It should be noted that this decision and recommendation does allow for retail sales without additional approvals. So it in fact looks like the city of Lancaster is going forward with not only cultivation, but manufacturing, distribution, and possibly retail sales if they so choose, and delivery as well. So this, to us, is a social justice issue. So when you increase access and availability of marijuana, in general, the social norms shift towards favorability, and we see that as a problem for the youth in our area. So we want to be clear as we talk about this that marijuana use is not legal for anyone under 18. And so we want to advocate for concrete actions to help protect our youth, too, and specifically. We at the AV MAP actually helped pass a social host ordinance. That's what SHO stands for, social host ordinance, regarding alcohol in Lancaster. And what that means is it penalizes adults who are providing a place where youth or underage people are drinking. It's under the nuisance ordinance. So we actually presented to the Criminal Justice Commission a couple of years ago to try and include cannabis into the social host ordinance to get ahead of that cannabis youth access curve. And we never really gained any traction. So maybe there's an intersection at social justice for us to work with you or you to work with us to try and again revisit getting cannabis language into the existing social host ordinance so that adults cannot provide a safe space for underage cannabis use. And in fact, Los Angeles County social host ordinance already does include cannabis in it. The one other thing that I want to talk about is advertising and signage. In the existing outdoor sign ordinance, there is restrictions for both alcohol, tobacco, and adult phone lines. And again, I feel maybe there's an intersection here on the social justice front for us to work together to maybe include cannabis in that same provision to then be restricted on advertising in our valley. As we know, quite a few billboards are advertising cannabis, and maybe that should be included with that existing restrictions on alcohol, tobacco, and adult phone lines. So there are a couple of phone numbers for treatment for Tarzana. There's our website. I will, in fact, reach out tomorrow with Maribel's contact information for further information on what we do or for what Tarzana can offer. Maribel is the contact point. I was expecting her to be here as well, but for some probably technical reason, she's not, or maybe she is. But anyways, I will reach out with contact information for her and our team and see if maybe we can't work together to restrict that access and availability of cannabis in the social host ordinance and maybe on billboards or signage, public signs. And with that, if there's any questions, that concludes my presentation.
So if I may, good afternoon, everyone. I am Maribel Briceño. I hope I'm unmuted. I'm not sure if you all can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, I apologize. I logged in like a minute or two before trying to avoid that technical difficulty that occurred. I called in and I was trying to get myself to be unmuted by the host and raise my hand and everything. And my last resort was to send an email to everyone that was in that email that I got the information. And I don't know if that's what made the magic happen. But nonetheless, I'm very happy to be here and thank you for the opportunity. Stephen, thank you for taking that on. I am the supervisor for Tarzana Treatment Center, and we are here in Lancaster as well as in Palmdale. And then we have other locations, as Stephen shared a little bit on the screens, throughout different other service provider areas. What I wanted to share in general, and I won't go through the whole presentation as Stephen has already shared information with you all. However, for those of you that don't know, Tarzana Treatment Centers does operate in adult and youth, residential and outpatient intensive care units for, again, youth, residential, and adults. We also have 2 clinics, one in Lancaster and one in Palmdale, and we provide medical services. As Stephen shared with you all in one of the slides, we also have a detox and detoxification facility that is out in I believe it's our Tarzana location. So we also have, as Stephen shared with you all, the prevention program. So Stephen works out of the prevention program, and it is him, Jessica Morales, and then I have another health educator, Elizabeth Jimenez. We also have the treatment services. I don't directly work with treatment services. However, as a supervisor, part of my duties is to share with the community what Tarzana has to offer. One of the slides that I don't think Stephen went over, and I don't expect him to because he probably doesn't know about that program, is our new program called the CDBG. Basically, what we're doing is it's a new grant that was given to us, and we are providing substance use disorder and mental health services for our community, for youth as well as their family members. And if they have been affected by COVID, that is our specific target at the moment with that grant. So we do have open space for anyone who needs services, substance use disorder or mental health. The beauty of that grant is that the individual does not have to meet the criteria to go into treatment. So in essence, if you think about it, you're looking at that step, which we try to call, the intervention, right before they have to have some residential or intensive care services provided. The other thing that grant allows us to do is that it allows us to provide individual services to family members. So let's say, for example, I'm going to use myself as an example. Let's say that I, Maribel, have come to receive services and I go to residential or I go to outpatient treatment intensive services. But let's just say, and I'm going to use Stephen as an example, my brother Stephen does not meet the medical necessity for those services. He does not need those type of intensive services. This grant will allow, let's say, Zach, I'm going to use you as an example, if I may. It'll allow Zach to be the counselor that says, hey, I can provide those less intensive services to your family, your siblings, mom, dad, whomever else could be in that household. They do have to be residents of the Antelope Valley. And they do have to provide some residential verification. And they do have to also meet the low-income federal poverty guidelines for the services. If you all have any questions on that program or anything in general from Trizana, I'm here. Please let me know. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you so much, Mary Bell and Stephen, for your time. And when it comes to the city council related things, you guys are more than welcome to participate in city council meetings. And you guys are more than welcome to follow up with me as well on some of the things that you guys talked about here today. Thank you again so much for your time. And if there are no questions for commissioners, we can move on. Are there any speakers for the consent calendar?
At this time, anyone wishing to comment on the consent calendar, please press *9. I will announce the last 4 digits of your calling number when it is your turn to speak. Please state your name and eliminate any background noise. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Please press *9 at this time if you wish to comment on the consent calendar. There are no speakers at this time.
Is there a motion and a second to approve the minutes from our last meeting?
I motion.
It is moved by Commissioner. It was moved by Commissioner Pope, and I believe that I saw that it was seconded by Commissioner Cullen.
Yes, sir.
All right, moved and seconded. City Clerk, please call the roll.
Commission members Cullen,
Aye.
Hone,
Aye.
Joseph, Pope,
Aye.
Vice Chair Carter,
Sorry, technical difficulties. Sorry.
Chairman Cannon.
Aye, it passes unanimously. All right, we are in continued business. So CB1 is pretty much like we went over today, like we went over last meeting, what I just went over during Commissioner Cullen's presentation. We talked about last meeting, I believe for the commissioners that were here last meeting, we were going to go over the data that we already had, and we were going to come to this commission meeting with possible recommendations for what this report should look like. So before we move forward, I want to name this something already. So let's vote on naming this. Because it's not just recommendations to the city council, right? It's a report. It's a report on things that what we're going to do, action plans. It is going to be a report of things that we're already going to do by the time we get to it. And it's also going to include recommendations. So I will make a motion if that is appropriate. I believe the chair can make motions. So I'll make a motion, if there is a second, that we call this an equity report. Pretty simple. Is there a second?
I second. Oh, go ahead, Carter.
I second.
It is moved and seconded. Could we vote on it, please? Have the roll call on calling.
Commission members. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I just wanted to make sure that for the record, what we're doing here is we're calling this an equity report.
Okay. Commission members Cullen,
Aye.
Hone,
Aye.
Joseph,
Aye.
Pope,
Aye.
Vice Chair Carter,
Aye.
Chairman Cannon.
Aye. Thank you. It passes unanimously. Now I don't have to trip my tongue when talking about this. Okay. So our equity report to the city council. Commissioner Cullen just is going to present to us all the data that him and Commissioner Hone got from MOA, which I think will go into a lot of what we're going to say today. But now I would like to start the ball rolling on this conversation about what stood out to you about what we've already gathered and the data that we've already gathered from not only just the people that have presented to our commission, but also from the community at large and in the spaces that we've been in. I'll go first, just so you guys can see what I'm looking for. I'll go first. So remember we talked about 3 key areas: public safety, economic prosperity and civic engagement, which is really increasing that civic participation as well. So when it comes to public safety, we all know that right now there is a big push when it comes to public safety in our schools and deputies in our schools and what that looks like. I believe that we do need a different approach on the way we do public safety in our schools. And I'm going to tell you guys what that looks like. And this is something that I think should go in the equity report. And we're going to draft it, obviously, but the final report will be voted on. I believe that deputies in our schools should take a different kind of approach where, one, they don't necessarily look like deputies that are on the streets, that they are more, they embrace the role, and that students are aware of the role of public safety officer. They're there to protect the students. Their primary goal there is not to arrest the students or really anyone. Their primary goal is just to make sure that students are safe, which is something that is very needed because there's only one deputy per school. But not just that, I think that, going into the data that just looking out into the community, seeing these events, hearing testimonials from young people about how it feels to have a deputy in their school, to have an armed, fully uniformed deputy in their school, and being a young person who graduated from a high school here in Lancaster, a continuation high school, and has, I understand it. I understand that psychological thing. I understand that it may create an inconducive learning environment. I believe that dressing down those deputies and making sure that those deputies are immersed somehow in the school life, like, whether it be in clubs, programs, or, that's not just a deputy. That is a member of this school community, right? Which they are. But I believe that there are some ways that we can sweeten that deal up a little bit. And I believe that the best route to go through that is to be very open and honest with conversations, very open and honest and bridging those conversations between the public safety department, the sheriff's station, and with the community at large. Let me be clear. I do not believe that we should cancel the contract. I do not believe that one deputy in those schools should be taken away. It just does not make any sense to me. But what does make sense is what these students are saying, how they feel having the deputy in there. So another thing that I would say that I would want this to go, I would recommend, would have a cadet program. LAPD has cadet programs in high schools. So let's have not just with the sheriff's station, but we know that our public safety department is coming up with hybrid law enforcement models, however that looks like. Let's start a cadet program where we could kind of shepherd high school students who want to in that public safety arena. I've met so many different types of young people from all backgrounds, Black, white, you name it, gender, you name it, who want to be police officers, who want to be public safety officials, God dang it, who want to be boulevard ambassadors. And I believe that there's a way that we could shepherd that in those schools using those deputies so that it does not create an inconducive learning environment. So that's where I am now on public safety. And that's what I'm ready to actually put in our draft once we start drafting it. And I'm ready to talk about that as well. So I will go, I have something on economic prosperity and civic engagement, but this is a reason why I wanted to make three equity reports so that, I don't swamp you guys. So that's where I'm at on public safety. And I do believe that each one of these reports will intersect with these different key areas, which is okay, which it should, because when we talk about economic prosperity, that will help public safety. And when we talk about cadet programs and different opportunities that will go into our public safety department on the creation of a hybrid law enforcement model, that's something that will come in economic prosperity as well. I haven't gotten a chance to have additional meetings with our public safety director. I know that the captain of our sheriff's station is retiring, but this is where my head is at, and I will be following up with them as well. So I will open it up again to commissioners. Who would like to go first? What is the data that stood out to you that we've gathered already, and what is your recommendation for this equity report? Let's start with our Vice Chair Carter. She's having technical difficulties. We're gonna circle back around. Let's go to Commissioner Cullen. We're gonna circle back, Vice Chair.
I think the thing that I see the most in just talking with people in my circle is this idea that there's generational wealth that has taught people different ways to move forward or excel faster based on knowledge gained and the limitations that weren't there before for people that are maybe not in that position to have learned, economics and how to excel in entrepreneurship or tax code or things like that. And I think that's probably the biggest challenge that we face, really. And so, I mean, one of the things I'd like to do is get in touch with local credit unions. We have some very big ones. We have, Logix, which is a Southern California credit union founded out of Lockheed. You have Edwards Federal Credit Union. You have Mission Bank. All of these entities have SBA programs, which I've participated in and have got me to in a position that I would not have been in if I wasn't approved to get a loan. But on approach of the loan, you have to, present a business plan. And a lot of people have this ideology that says, well, I'm not going to get a loan because I'm this or that or whatever title they want to put on them based on race, gender, age, whatever you want to call it. And the reality is, it's not that is declining the loan. It's the lack of understanding of how to really put yourself in a position to be approved, because it is a matter of fact of financial documentation. So coming up with a way to figure out how to maybe do a class on how to create a business plan. If you want to have a gym or if you want to do a in-home food service, whatever it looks like, and you're looking to get a loan, how to position the loan the correct way, and not necessarily to say, well, you should get a leg up based on X, Y, or Z, but just that you should be able to get the knowledge that you need that has been passed on by generations of other people to them. And so, I mean, I don't know what that looks like. It's not a college class. Maybe it is a college class. I don't know what it looks like, but I see that as a big hurdle of here's how you need to position yourself if you want to be successful in business. And, I didn't go to college, and I don't think that necessarily everybody needs to go to college. I think everybody needs an opportunity to be able to position themselves to chase their dreams and have an open door to that. So I'd like to open a door to the credit unions, make sure we put a plan together that they can come up with a fundamental way to make small business loans to local residences, local citizens, to be able to put themselves in a position to gain. So in my tenure as a commissioner, I'd like to focus on more in that stream of how to financially prepare people to take a step forward and concentrate there. So.
Thank you, Commissioner Cullen. I couldn't agree more. Financial literacy is so important. Like I said, all of these three key areas will intersect. So all of these reports, even I don't even know if we should even label them. This is our equity report on public safety. This is our equity report. This is just the three key areas we're going to hit in these three reports.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that economic prosperity and making sure people are financially literate, so they know how credit works, so they know how credit unions work, so they can make the best financial decisions for themselves, especially early on in life, will make it so that they don't have to make desperate decisions later on in life to protect their family, to put food on their family's table, to put food on their mother's table.
And which also affects public safety. You don't have to go to drastic measures to create, a life, and so.
Exactly. And you hit the nail on the head when you said that a lot of times it's just people think that, I'm just not going to get this loan, right? That's another thing that we're going to have to combat with this equity report. We're going to have to combat is mentalities. We're going to have to try to change some of these mentalities and show people, especially young people, that, you're an asset. You're an asset in your own way, and that you can make the right decisions and get to where you need to be. And just because you view yourself in a certain light or somebody else viewed in a certain light, at the very least, the city of Lancaster is behind you. And we're going to make sure that you have that prosperity. And that in return is going to help us, going to help our public safety department, and it's going to help civic engagement as well. Thank you so much, Commissioner Cullen. I'm going to go ahead and go to Commissioner Hone too, because you and Commissioner Cullen looks like y'all got a little head start on that data. So go ahead.
Well, I wanted to add something to Zach's plan, and I don't know if this is something that you would be interested in, but when we're talking financial literacy, and I know I agree with you that I don't think that everybody needs to go to college to be a successful business person or, you know, a successful person in general, right? But I think that we can throw something in there about college financial, you know, college student loans and all that stuff, because I know that is a big thing right now. And to me, it seems really unfair that you're, you know, 17, 18, 19 years old and you're taking out a loan for who knows how much, $50,000, $60,000. You have no idea how you're going to pay that back, right? And everybody says, oh, well, you don't have to pay it back. You have 6 months after you graduate. That is not a long time. You know, like those kick in before you even know what's happening, right? And so just to say, you know, how those work and, you know, loans, interest rates, just small things like that people don't necessarily understand or don't know what it means. You know, I was one of those kids that was the first person to go to college in my family. I didn't know what an interest rate was. I didn't have anybody to help me, tell me, you know, don't take that loan or whatever, especially when they're like, here's $10,000. You don't have to, you know, pay your rent. You don't have to get a job. But that was just something I wanted to throw in there. And I also wanted to talk about community engagement. You know, when I'm reading the MOA's survey, and they have a lot about accessibility. They have some questions about accessibility and equity. You know, both of those things, I think they go together. And just talking to folks, I think people want community but are not sure how to get it. And I think that especially here in Lancaster, things feels so divided, right? It's like, well, you live on the east side or the west side, and those two don't intersect somehow we don't, you live over there and that's where you're supposed to stay, and or vice versa, right? And I think that coming together as a whole is very important, because at the end of the day, we all live here, right? And I always wonder, like, what are those people that live in the middle? Like, I live in the middle, and I'm like, I don't know where I live. I live right by the boulevard. I don't know. What does that make me? But, you know, like, but, and I think that goes back to taking a sense of pride in your community, you know, and to figure out a way to bring folks together, whether that is through an event, whether that is through food. Seems to bring a lot of people together really easy and really quick. I live really close to Jane Reynolds Park. There's always a bunch of kids at the skate park. Like, the kids are already there, right? People are already there. Let's bring something to them. Awesome. And right, whether that's just water on a hot day, or, you know, it could be something really simple, water, popsicles, ice cream truck, you know, and just like, hey, yeah, this is, you know, the city's sponsoring this, and we love that you guys come out here. And I saw them skating today, and I was like, it's 112 degrees. What are you guys doing? But you do you know, and just to think, you know, how a cold drink on a hot day would go a long way. And to say, yeah, the city's looking out for you, or, you know, what do you like about the skate park? I know it's relatively new, right? What do you not like? You know, what are some things that we got right? And, you know, so maybe in the future, if we build another one, right, we can take those things into consideration. And I think something like that would be so simple. You know,
Commissioner Holmes, sorry, I would go even a step further, right? And this is something that I've been talking about as well. We should yes, water is great, but there's other things that we want to quench, right? They have a thirst for other things, like the data that we have saying that they have a thirst for better. They want us to. The community wants to have better pathways to being involved in everyday civic life in Lancaster. They want to feel like they're involved in the decision-making process in the city of Lancaster. They want to feel more involved. What better way to get involved in a municipality and the government than going out there with water bottles and voter registration forms? Because the voters are the ones that decide which way the city goes, right? Mm-hmm. So yes, we can register at 16. So I would even say voter registration drives would be something that we would do. And I agree with you 100%. Meeting people where they are, especially young people. When we talk about, again, partnerships are very important. I believe that we should start forming, you know, partnering up with people so we can get a job fair going, and not just put a job fair, you know, in the same old facility and say, hey, here, come out to here.
Yeah.
Come get a job fair, but also let's put a job fair somewhere where we know there's going to be young people. And that's not just saying that, oh, let's go to them. And well, why people would say, why would we go to them? Don't we want to attract people that are looking for jobs, right? But then it goes back to what Commissioner Cullen was saying. There's a mentality out there where those young people might be like, you know what, I'm not worthy of a job, or
right, they're not going to give me a job.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so when you see that the job fair is going to be popping up right where they're at, or near where they at, or where they always are, that will get those people that, right before right before they give up on that job search. And we're not necessarily talking, and if we're being honest, those young people, not even young people, people who don't want jobs, you could put a job fair right in front of them, you could put a job opportunity right in front of them, they won't take it.
Right.
That's not who that's not what we're looking for.
Right.
But I would 100% agree with you. I do believe that also we should be thinking about some back to school events too.
Because kids are going to go back to school. How do we get those kids or those high school kids and, to get involved in their community? Yeah, I'm down.
Yeah, I'm going to open up the floor again for more commissioners. Go ahead, Vice Chair. I saw you raise your hand.
Yes, and I like both Zach's idea and Teresina's. But here's where I think we'll need to really work on the gap, because we talked about the people who want to be engaged. We talked about something Zach mentioned really was the small business commissioner or whichever entity that is that can teach people how to write business plans and actually teach people starting at a young age about how to develop business and how to enter a market as your own business, as well as, instead of or as well as going out there and being able to compete in the job market. But here's what I've seen, because I've done somewhat of my own little survey, just talking to real people around and about the Lancaster. I'm going to do that. So what happens is that we as the commissioners, I think we'll have to step in and we'll have to bridge a communications gap, because what I hear is that people don't know about the resources. I don't know how we're communicating out to people that there are resources and then when people find out about resources, and I can speak from experience as well, being a follow-up and a follower of people who are reaching out, you don't get in touch with anybody. You get a voicemail, you leave a message, and no one calls back. This is what I keep hearing from so many citizens. So even with that small business, I've heard about that. I've been told about that. I've had people that I know who have looked into that, but have really had a hard time getting in touch with anybody in those areas. Same things with the parks and recreation areas. And I've even seen something you mentioned, Teresina, and I visualize it, cultural events and so forth that bring people together. They have, there's this really large one that they have here every year. It's not large as far as attendance, but it's a real well put together and event, and it's a cultural event, and it displays or presents culture through dance and music. And I think that we, from studies have shown that is, as well as food, another way to bring people together. And it's a way to educate people. And we know that educating people is how you change minds. That's the best way to change a mind. But what's missing that I see in a lot of these places, I think we're on point as far as the areas that we want to strike or look into developing equity and, any types of programs in. But we're going to really need to work with any of the entities that our community members would interact with or reach out to make sure that we bridge the gap on communications, because I think that's a big area here. There's a lot of jewels in this community. There's a lot of great programs, but even when you look at what we've had presented here, I'm talking to people who have lived out here for 20 years. I've only lived out here, 5 or 6? And they are like, I never heard of that. I don't know. Where'd you find out about that? So it's really a communication. It's bringing the people together and getting not only people to go to what's built, but get what's built to come to the people as well. So
Absolutely.
Bringing the communications is key. I think that's a strategy that has to be put in place on every move we make.
I agree with that wholeheartedly, man. It is education is the thing. I think there's so many opportunities and so many programs we already have established that we can really implement. It's just that mindset of, well, I'm not going to qualify, or I'm not going to be able to participate, or these other things. And I think through education and like bringing everybody together, that's great. But then also having something there, like, people of different ethnic backgrounds, different age backgrounds, all talking about how they've had opportunities that have helped them bring real life stories. And in my experience in life in general, bringing real life stories to situations where people can relate to a real life situation that happened and say, you know what, I can turn this around. I can make a change, and I can make a difference. But the one thing that you said that's super important that I've heard from business owners that are extremely successful that I know, they're like, well, you're only getting that seat because you're white, or what other reasons that they say, they don't call me back either. I'm just kidding. But really it's about the hustle, man. It's about it's not giving up, and it's making sure everybody understands that, and I think if we can get these credit unions to come together and come up with a plan, like, hey, I need someone who's going to sit down and listen to these guys' business plan and not just reject it and make everybody feel rejected, and not call them back, but actually take an effort and call everybody back. I don't care how silly the idea is. The guy wants to make a fly swatter, whatever, right. Call them back and let's have a conversation and not make people feel defeated. And exactly. That's the opportunity that we could put forth, that maybe it's something that we could actually change, where everyone's voice is heard. And it's like, oh, this guy has a good idea. Sit down and listen to him, take him seriously,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's very important that people understand that, especially this commission, and I believe the city, especially our city council, is in the business of empowerment. They're in the business of empowering people, and they understand that they understand that gap. Vice Chair, they understand that gap which is where we come in. And that's why I would like to form action plans that we will be able to put in our report that go at that communication. And I've actually had a meeting with the city manager about that. And we talked about that specifically, more specifically as it relates to the job opportunities in the city of Lancaster. I've gone through the channels. I've applied for different jobs in the city since before I was a commissioner and after, even with that on my resume. And it's hard for me to get jobs back. So, but it's what it is just, I told him, hey, Jason, I could just print me out the flyer. Let's make some flyers, and he's going to do this. Let's make some flyers. I'll go to the park myself. Right. I'll go to the park myself and start handing them out. Apply for this. Apply for that. The city of Lancaster is hiring. We could do it like that. And that's where job fairs come along. That's why we should put a job. That's why I believe we should put a job fair somewhere close to where people already are. Right. Where people go their everyday life. Right. And education most definitely is key. It is key. When we talk about, after something the city council is doing, after school programs, when they just released the budget, I encourage everybody to go look at the last city council meeting, their proposed budget. There are ways that we could get in there and make sure, we can make those things equitable, right? We could be like, hey, if you're going to have a program at this park, we believe that, there should be X, Y, and Z there. Or this information about what's going on should be there, or at least have a stack of flyers somewhere that says something about a job fair or something to that effect. So
I think an action plan right out of the gate, just hearing you talk about this is coming right off the top of my head, is we do the farmers market on Lancaster Boulevard. The city's already set up to do that with pillars and everything else. And so I know me personally, if I was told there was going to be a job fair and it was well advertised, I'd have a booth there. Yeah. And I think that might be a perfect venue for it. And also bring people downtown to spend some money on the boulevard. But I don't know. I mean, I'm just throwing that off my head.
Exactly.
Yes.
There you
Somebody
go.
write that down.
Write it down. I think for each and every initiative, programs, any move we're making, fundamental communication strategy, and that means looking at what channels, how we're going to communicate, because just like the flyers, that's great. You can also go in churches. There's plenty churches around here. People can go there and make announcements, get in touch with the church secretary and have it announced if there's a job there. Talk at, I don't know if there's still a such thing as temp agencies or so forth, but
yes,
a lot of organizations, and a lot of corporate level organizations I know have like their internal, what they'll call temp pool.
People Ready is what it's called, Lori. People Ready is a temp agency that's out here. I think they partner with the company, but it's organizations like that if we were going to have a job fair that we would want to partner with, right? We would want them to be there, and I would say not just having a job fair, but let's have some workshops, some job skills workshops, some interview skills workshops leading up to the job fair. Yeah. So not only do they know that it's coming, but they know that we're trying to prepare them for it. They know that we have workshops for you so that not only is there going to be a job fair in, let's say, December, we're going to have a workshop in September. We're going to have a workshop in October. We're going to have a workshop. We're going to prepare you for it. And that way it's very clear by the time we have the job fair who really wants it, right? And who really has gotten into that. And it gives us time to do communications. Yeah. So
I'm hearing, and I don't know if this is something I heard once or is something.
Hello, did you call on me?
I did not, Commissioner Joseph. We'll get to you in a sec.
But, even looking at it from, both ways, going for the people who are looking for jobs, people who are looking for employees. From what I understand, there's people that can't get people to come back to work right now after COVID. You can't you right. So where do you go? How do you get your people? Where do you find them? How do you recruit? What's your way of recruitment? There's so many channels, but a job fair are advertisements. I don't know. People go through different what do they call affinity organizations? Like if there's like LGBT finance professionals or something like that, and just look, we need to be, I just see us being a bridge as far as communication and bringing people together and being able to get information going both ways, from the organizations to the community, from the community into the organization. And even if we have to go out, maybe canvas, look where there's for help wanted signs or whatever. But I just think that the big thing for me that I'm thinking right now is every single initiative, we need to really, really have a strong communication strategy, because it's no longer about if you build it, they'll come. It's also, if you want them to come, you got to go out and get them. So we have to have cross, functional communications, because again, even with all these great organizations that have presented here thus far over the last couple of months, I'm taking notes and I'm asking, did you know about this? They have this. And it's only like the inside most people that even often know about. So that's the communication gap. So all these great ideas need to be pushed out and brought in together.
And I hope Vice Chair Carter, and I know we've had a meeting, we get to work. I mean, but I hope that, and that's for every commissioner, what we're talking about here, I hope that that I'm going to expect action plans next month. I'm going to expect action. So when our vice chair talks about bridging being a bridge and communications, I want something that we can have next month that we can go to our communications department and be like, this is our plan, right? And when we talk about it, we could start with the jobs that the city of Lancaster is just put out. We can start there. We can start with a job fair and job skills going up to it. I was just sent something this morning I was just sent an email before the meeting by staff about something that had to do with job skills and stuff that's happening that I haven't got a chance to look at, but it's stuff like that I believe that is going to help. I want to also hear from commissioners that we probably haven't heard from yet, but no pressure. I just want to make sure that we're not blocking anybody out.
I just want to say one more thing if no one's going to talk.
Nobody else.
I'm jumping in. I had coffee, so Anyway, but when you said the job fair, and then I keep thinking about Zach's start your own business thing plan and idea, because that's a new what's that? That's the new generation thing, right? More and more people are getting famous or rich, starting their own businesses. They're opting out of going to school and getting into, financial aid debt. And there's people that are out here making big money because they took a passion. They took something that they were good at and they are making money. I'm gonna just tell you about a lady I know in New York. She skates and she taught in New York. When the pandemic hit, skating is her passion. She does like some kind of officer position, like what do you call a probation officer or something? Anyway, but she took her passion during the pandemic for skating and started teaching classes on Zoom. That woman has 70, 80 people online from all around the world. She's making bank. I literally sat with her and calculated. She's making more money doing something that's her passion, and she turned it into a business. So you can take your passion and make it into a business. And I know I'm going on and on, but Zach mentioned that about, and Teresina, that maybe school and education or going out and getting a job at somebody's corporation is not for everybody. There are people who are entrepreneurs and they'll start their own business. And I could even see doing something so different from most job fairs is having a job fair that also includes a component of how to start your business, how to, create a business plan and those types of things. Anyway, I'm going more than I want to, but yeah.
I would concur with everybody. All your ideas sound good. I've done community job fairs, resource fairs, all that. And what you're talking is just entrepreneurial fair. You know what I mean? Like you say, those resources there that if you have a dream and you want to come, find out what do you need to do to start that, then we can have some people there who've done it, or at least the resources to show you how to do it. So I'm with all those, and I'll put in a plan with that as well. But in the sense of public safety, right? The Lancaster Sheriff Station, the parking lot, the security cameras are so old that literally, your child's mother can run in the back of your car and the police will tell you that the cameras are old, so we can't really do much. I watched a domestic violence victim this Friday. She was coming to the station to report the person with the restraining order on her, and he walked up to the police station harassing her. And she ran into the police station. He went away, but it's like, wow, that's a violation of the restraining order. I even said in the office, hey, I witnessed it, but that type of thing, if we're paying a police station $30 million and we don't even have a sufficient camera system in a parking lot where a lot of children are getting, dropped off back and forth. So that's just something I want to address that's immediate before some kid or somebody gets killed in that parking lot and we don't even have sufficient cameras to see it, So that's something I want to bring up.
Yeah, that's something I could bring back to the sheriff boosters. I'm on the board with the sheriff boosters, and we got money that we raise for things like that aren't approved through city that we can make fast action on. I'll bring that to the head of the board right away, because I agree with you on that, especially on child drop-offs. I mean, that's such a conflicting moment there that needs almost to be supervised by a live person, not let alone just the camera. So I'll bring that up, see if they can fund it that way, and make an immediate fix on that for sure.
Thank you, Commissioner Cullen. I'm glad you brought that up about going back to the sheriff boosters. There's something that, and again, our partnerships are important, and knowing that there's other people and other entities in the city of Lancaster that have a purview that is going to be relevant to our equity report, whose perspective that we're going to need. I would like to take this opportunity to divvy up some responsibility here. Commissioners can volunteer, but I think, Zach, this would be perfect for it. So if you could go, I know you're already on the sheriff boosters, so if you could report back to our commission about what's going on in those sheriff booster meetings, or even, and if you would like, ABTA meetings as well. Just nothing, no big.
Yeah, no, just like a liaison summary report of what's happening, and to back up on that, I mean, I think it would not for me to go ask for that to do immediate, but I think if we could do it quick, I mean, I want to do it quickly so we solve a problem, but I also want to give a little bit of, energy to this commission to be able to do bring something to city council. I can pretty much guarantee you bring that action plan to city council floor that you'd like to improve the surveillance around the sheriff's station. That's a really good start with the city council about, us working together, and they're going to be very receptive to it. And they're going to, you know what I'm saying? So I think that might, if you're going to present something in the next city council meeting as an action plan that you're going to ask for, that would probably be something you'd want to put in a report, but there's an immediate need for it. So I don't want anybody to be sacrificed in the middle of trying to, get in good graces. But I mean, that's something I can pretty much, they're going to get behind that. It's a good deal.
And I will say too that the public safety department, and I believe at the highest levels of the sheriff's department, that they would be very receptive to changes the approach that I talked about with deputies in our schools. They would definitely be receptive to that. And I also I don't just want to divvy up responsibility. I don't just want commissioners going to those sheriff boosters meetings. I believe that we should always have a commissioner at a city council meeting. We should have a commissioner at a criminal justice commission meeting. We should have commissioners at these, I believe there's in these different areas, right? So, but at the first and foremost, when we talk about public safety, sheriff booster meetings, criminal justice commission meetings. When we talk about civic engagement and the things that recommendations to the council, I would like it so that there's a commissioner at every city council meeting. There's 2 a month. There's 7 of us. Let's do it. I mean, who would like to go first?
Yeah. And it's a back and forth conversation. Here's what we need from you, and what can you do for us? You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Would any commissioners like to volunteer to go to the next city council meeting, to sit in the next city council meeting? Commissioner Pope, you got it?
Can we set it up where you're voluntold basically, and you just write out a list and we rotate, and so people are voluntold, so to speak.
Absolutely, we can do it.
Chairman Cannon, we can put together a schedule of all the city council meetings that are coming up, and we can send that around to commissioners, and they can let us know when they're available.
Not just city council meetings, but can we add criminal justice commission meetings as well?
Absolutely.
That'd be great. Is there any continued discussion on CB1? Go ahead, Commissioner Pope. My cat needs attention.
Okay, so first and foremost, I just want to agree with all of the sentiments that all of the other commissioners brought up. One of the things that I do just very much want to echo with this is the fact that I know that there are a lot of young people in the city of Lancaster that had alternative plans for college before the coronavirus pandemic hit. And as a result of that, most of those young people that were planning on going to schools, whether they were further in Los Angeles County, throughout the state of California, or out of the state of California, many of those plans were derailed, including my own. I was planning on going to an out-of-state school. However, when the coronavirus pandemic struck, I decided to stay here ultimately, as many did my peers. The reason that I bring this up is because I believe that this presents our city with a unique opportunity to be able to retain some of the young people that are living here currently. And the reason that I bring that up is because a sentiment that has been shared for a very long time among young people in the Antelope Valley, and specifically in the city of Lancaster, is that because there is not because people assume that there is not economic innovation, educational innovation, or things of that nature to be found here, that they have to go elsewhere in order to get those opportunities and advantages for upward mobility. And so I think that it would be very advantageous for us if we started a conversation or continued the conversation about developing job infrastructure out here to make sure that young people know that you don't just have to commute down below every day, or you don't have to go further into Los Angeles County every day in order to be able to find employment opportunities. I think it would be very advantageous for us to either do an event, as the other commissioners were mentioning, or start doing communications on social media, showing that there are these positions that are available within the city of Lancaster. The city could also potentially partner with some businesses and that might not have the best advertising in terms of advertising that there are jobs available. The city could potentially partner with those, and there could be a jobs board or things of that nature, because we do have a very big opportunity to retain some of the young people that we otherwise would have lost due to them moving before the coronavirus pandemic. So I believe that now we have that opportunity, and we very much need to acknowledge and take hold of that opportunity. As Chairman Cannon was mentioning, in terms of a communications plan, or as Commissioner Carter was mentioning in terms of communications plan, with this communications plan, we could detail things for how to reach out to people through the city page on social media, such as Facebook, where a lot of people get their news and information, and just promoting ads or whatnot that are saying, or promoting posts that are saying that there are these jobs that are available. I think that that's a very good way in order to get and retain young audiences. And so I agree with Vice Chair Carter that when we're talking about these things, that we do need to have a robust communications plan, because if not, we are going to run into the same problem that the city has historically run into, which is we're doing all of these amazing events, or we have all of these amazing initiatives, yet there are people that are not knowing about them because the communication necessarily was not there to the best of the ability. And so I believe that when we're working on these things, we will be able to retain some of the people that we might have lost due to them moving away or what have you. So I just want to echo, this is a really good opportunity in order to be able to keep some of those young people in the city.
And I would just add that when it comes to, especially keeping young people in the city, and when it excuse me, something that Vice Chair also brought up is that how do we get people, how hard it is for businesses to even get employees when they're hiring, right? And so I think that having, again, open dialogue and communication and conversation and honest conversations with employers, and I mean, we could having sit downs with the Chamber of Commerce, with the Black Chamber of Commerce. I've reached out to them, having those sit downs, and so once we hear what it is in the community from people, this is why it's hard to get a job, or this is why, I don't want to work for this particular kind of company. That way we can bring that insight to those chambers so they can go and talk to their people that are in there, and maybe we could, help grease the wheels a little bit on that as well. But I couldn't agree with you more. Go ahead.
Something, Giovanni, I mean, seriously, there are so many benefits to these companies out here and to the city to look at the younger people that, we have so many generations in the workforce right now. I know the company I work with for years has been looking at how we have a gap in the pipeline for leadership. And so now, they've stood up a program called Early in Career Programs. And little did I know that a lot of organizations actually have what are called Early in Career Programs, where they're looking at people who have some college education and 0 to 3 years of work experience. And so there's companies that, need to work with people like all of the young people, the young, fresh ideas, because that's where companies grow. That's how they stay, they don't hit organizational inertia because everybody's kind of still in group think and gotten too old. So companies know that there's a benefit to hiring, a younger audience or a younger workforce, and they are standing up programs. So I'm taking some little notes, but I think that looking into the early in career programs and so forth, and talking to organizations, even selling them on having those types of programs is something we should put down.
Commissioner Pope?
One of the other things that I also just wanted to echo with this is that it has, when we're talking about jobs and economic innovation, this does have a lot of advantages in terms of just like sustaining revenue for the city. Because one of the things that is that when people are not spending their dollars out here, or when people are not earning their dollars out here, when people just live in the area and they are not spending or earning their dollars there, that hurts the cities in terms of tax revenue. When we have young people that are earning or spending their dollars out here, that benefits us in terms of tax revenue, which we can use to enhance all of these programs that we're talking about in city services and things of that nature. The last thing that I want to echo with this is that there's actually a person that I used to go to high school with, and they just recently got a city job, and I can see what the transformational difference it has made in that person's life. And so I also just want to echo that when we're talking about jobs and we're talking about city jobs, this is the way that we restore or we cultivate civic pride within our city. When we have people that are proud of the place that they work for, when we have people that are investing in the place that they live and work, that's a really powerful thing. And so I just want to echo that. I am of the Impact program. So I just really want to echo how much of a transformative difference that could make in someone's life, both for their personal lives and in terms of the city of Lancaster.
Let's make it clear when we're talking about young people, and I'm so proud that your friend was able to get a job in the city. But when we're talking about jobs, yes, jobs are important, but careers are better. And when we're talking about a job with a city, that's in the city of Lancaster, I have not seen not one job that does not is not a career or on the pathway to a career, a sustainable kind of career. So we want to also make it clear to young people and all people really, but especially young people, that we're not just in the business of jobs, but the city of Lancaster is in the business of helping you find a career here, so that you could lay your groundwork here, start a family here, go to school here, spend your money and make your money right here in the city of Lancaster.
Where you live, drive the economy.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and make this a place, make it a more a place where people want to live, and bring their dollars into the community,
It's back to the mindset idea. I had lunch with Mayor Hoffbauer in Palmdale today to try to talk about something we were working on, and he hit me with a statistic that I thought was crazy, and I don't know if it's true or not, but I don't think he would tell a story. But 77,000 people commute out of town, 22,000 people commute into town. So I think that's a statistic that you could put on a billboard to kind of wake people up. Like, you don't have to leave. 22,000 people from other communities in Valencia and LA drive up here to work because there's opportunity here. So it's always this mindset, there's nothing here. But when you see a number like that or hear a number like that, if it's factual, putting that on a billboard is like, why do you want to leave? There's a ton of people coming here, so, and also, and to Giovanni's point too, it creates that generational change, where stay here. And what I think it was Commissioner Carter said something about middle level management. I mean, that's a big head nod for me. I cannot figure out how to get in that gap. I have huge gaps in our middle management where I can't get anybody to retain there because everybody leaves. And so it's like, so when you get to that point, we're like, oh, I'm going to go find a job somewhere else. It's like, stay here, and let's work on the community and have those opportunities available. And it's back again to the mindset where I don't feel like I'm going to be in that position. And the way we are, and I'm sure many businesses are, hustle's all that matters. That's the only thing that I have patience, hustle, and execute. I don't care if you went to college or what if that's in your DNA and that's your person, the sky's the limit. And most people are like that. But the mindset is, I got to have a degree, or I got to have, and that's really not the case with most businesses, especially today, So.
And sometimes the mindset is on the opposite spectrum. When we're talking about, especially when we're talking about young people and impressionable minds, we also have to make sure that we are creating programs for mentorship, because there are a lot of young people who only have those negative influence. They have that hustle mentality, but that hustle mentality comes from, drug dealers. It comes from people that do illegal grows. It comes from families in the cartels. It comes from families who have had that hustle mentality, who started off with that mentality of I can't do it without a degree, I can't do it without this, and found a worse way to do it. But for them, it was like, this is an easier, fast money way. So we have to figure out how we can get into those spaces and especially talk to these groups that will represent NAACP. We're talking about like a Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, Black Chamber of Commerce, these different types of organizations that we could help get these mentorships.
I think that I've had this idea for a long time, but I've been scared to do it or even scared to talk about it. Probably shouldn't do it right now. But
it's not the commission for fear.
Wait, I want to hear. Probably good.
Selling drugs is exactly like running a business, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I got 5 locations. They're on 5 different corners. I try to get people to go there. I got to figure out what my competition is pricing their product at, and I got to try to get a better product at a cheaper price. And then I got to keep my network happy. If my network isn't happy, then I'm going to lose them to another guy. So I got to keep my customers happy so they keep coming back every time. So I got to make sure my product's good. I got to make sure my price is right. I got to make sure my supply line is going to keep coming through because I can't have that dry up. Selling drugs is running a business.
That's running a business. Those people
and businesses make more money than selling drugs when you're on the bottom. So it's the same thing, it's putting a workshop together on that. They can wake people up to that is also an opportunity that I think we could really make an impact. That's a longer play, but I think it's a good play at some point in time to put that together.
I say it and I say it time and again, and I'll say it again. The mentality in our city, the mentality is there. It's the opportunity.
Yeah.
It's the mentality for entrepreneurship is there. The mentality for economic prosperity, the hunger, the hustle is there. It's just opportunity and communication and education. Those are our key goals. So again, we talked about a lot of good stuff here. Let's put it as an action plan so we can put the action that we take in the report. And so let's figure out what we can do. Let's just do what we could do. And if we can't do it, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a city attorney or a city councilman that tells us that we can't do that. And then we'll let the city council know that, hey, we can't, this is where we pass it on to you. Right. But let's get those action plans.
Is there,
I would like to, 1 second, Vice Chair. I would like to take another vote. I was just thinking about it right now. At first I said we'll do 3 equity reports on each of the key areas, but I think that we should not put a quantity on how many equity reports we'll send to the city council. Obviously, I think we should start with 1. I think we should do it and give it 3 parts, right? We should do 1 with 3 parts: a public safety component of the equity report, an economic prosperity component of the equity report, and a civic engagement component of the equity report. I'm seeing heads shaking, so I think that is something good. Would anybody like to throw a motion out there?
Chairman, before we go to that, we do need to allow for the opportunity for public comment.
Oh, yes. On CB1, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can make your note.
Okay. At this time, anyone wishing to come in on CB1, please press *9. I will announce the last 4 digits of your calling number when it is your turn to speak. Please state your name and eliminate any background noise. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Please press *9 at this time if you wish to come in on CB1. No speakers at this time.
There was a lot of people that were marching and in the streets advocating for this commission. Where are y'all? Come on, y'all. Let's. I know that I've been telling people about these meetings. I've been advertising them. I know that Giovanni has. He's got a link tree. I've got a link tree. But hey, the work continues. Would anybody like to? I'm ready to entertain a motion to structure our equity report with 3 components: public safety, economic prosperity, and civic engagement. Anybody like to move that?
I would just say with the reports, though, we want them to be able to tackle it. If we got 3 different components and it's it's complex, are they going to address each issue? So maybe we might want to hit them with a report every month. So every city council, they're getting addressed. Well, here's this issue that we want to bring up. Next month, we do another one. Then, and if we have to circle back to the one we did previous month because they haven't addressed it, we bring that up. But we keep hitting them every month with a report to get addressed.
Great communication strategy.
I think that I like that, but I think that the motion that I'm looking forward to entertain is just the structure of what the report would be like. And we could talk about a timeline at another meeting, or we could talk about it here in this meeting if you guys want. But first and foremost, I want to get it out the way that we will do an equity report, that the report that we do, whether it doesn't don't think about when we're going to do it, right? The report that we're going to do is going to have 3 components: a public safety component, an economic prosperity component, and a civic engagement component. But keep in mind, guys, that before we send a report or before we do a report to City Council, we will make a final vote on that report. So there'll be a draft, there'll be a final draft, and then there'll be a final vote. So if we feel like, wait, this is too much, or this is not realistic enough, things can be added and taken off by, the actions that we take on this commission. Understood?
Yes. Understood. I would say aye. First vote.
Well, we haven't. If you would like to move it so that we could, so that it could be seconded, and then we can have a little bit of discussion, and then we could take a vote.
Motion to move.
I'll second.
Okay, is that good enough, City Clerk? Do we have to state the motion?
Yes, it would be appropriate to state what the motion is, especially now since there's been more conversation. So we can be clear on what we're moving on.
Does the commissioner that made the motion have to state the motion?
Yes.
Commissioner Joseph, would you please state your motion?
Motion to move on equity report, the 3-part equity report that we will present to City Council monthly.
Monthly.
Okay.
Is there a second?
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, so let's start discussion. Okay, when we say monthly, when will this start? Because
we'll be a month in the hole, because like we're meeting now. If we had a motion now, we would be, if we had it all drafted up, we will be voting. Okay, we want to present this. When is the next City Council meeting? They're after our meetings, right?
Even if at the City Council meeting, it's here's what we're about, here's our vision statement, here's what we're doing, here's what we want to do. Next month, it could be we're working on these agenda items. The idea is that we're on the City Council meeting agenda as an entity all the time, every month.
Yeah.
Got it. I like that.
I like that too.
I also think that the very first, and we will, I'll make that motion afterwards. I like that motion. It's been moved. It's been seconded. Can we call the roll, please?
Commission members Cullen.
Aye.
Hone.
Aye.
Joseph.
Aye.
Pope.
Aye.
Vice Chair Carter.
Aye.
Chairman Cannon.
Aye. It's unanimous. All right. So since we've done that, I have a motion. I move. Let's open up the draft. Let's start drafting it now. And I will.
Okay.
The first thing that should go, and the first thing that should go in there, I move that in our equity report to the City Council, in their July meeting, that it should in the public safety component, it should include improving surveillance cameras at the sheriff station, the Lancaster Sheriff Station.
Yeah.
I moved. Is there a second?
I second.
All right, City Clerk, please call the roll.
Commission members Cullen.
Aye.
Hone.
Aye.
Joseph.
Aye.
Pope.
Aye.
Vice Chair Carter.
Aye.
Chairman Cannon.
Aye, passed us unanimously. That's going to help a lot of people. I do. And that way we could get that on there. We could get that in front of the City Council soon. Again, so let's be realistic here, guys. These monthly recommendations, every month, we obviously we're gonna have something because we've been talking about this for a long time. But I think that we should work on the big stuff so that quarterly there's something big, not big, but like something policy-wise or something that, because, we need time to do some of these things, right? So like by the next quarter, right, we will have something about a job fair, or we'll have something about voter registration, what have you. But I think that it's very important for us to be on monthly, because there are some things that are going to come up that we're probably going to have to bring to City Council pretty soon, like what Commissioner Joseph brought up with the surveillance at the Lancaster station, right? And so I believe so I think that we've by next month, by July in the city council meeting, we're trying to get on the agenda. Again, there's going to be 2 meetings. So even on that first July agenda, we could be on the second one. And so moving forward, I like that. Monthly.
I have a question.
Monthly. Go ahead.
Do we have, I don't know if I missed it, but do you have a template or any type of, example of what this report will look like, what all will be included in it,
So
anything?
you know that we have 3 components of it, but when it comes to exactly what it would look like and how we would present it to the city council, that is a decision that we will come together as a commission on.
Okay. And I think another thing I want to ask, because today I feel like there were we really pretty much had like an ideas generations section of this meeting. People were like, ideas were coming from everywhere. There was some great, I tried to capture. I was writing it down because I thought to myself, these are the types of things that need to be, then we need to set forth on planning and processing. But this was good. I would like to see us like do some dedicated ideas generations sessions around each of the 3 main pillars or initiatives that the 3 areas that we're addressing, and do something like what happened earlier, an ideas generation for each one of them. And we need to start capturing those. And then, from next steps, how you start planning, how you're going to make it happen, putting it into place, making them projects. So they can really happen. So I don't know if that's a motion or a move, but I would like us to do some ideas generation sessions if we can.
You mean in the public forum, or did you want to?
The way I'm visualizing it is like, seriously, we come in and go, for example, we talked about the public equity and the public safety. That's one of our 3 pillars, right? The equity, public safety, and there was the idea about security cameras. Then and there was deputies, how they show up in the schools, what they look like, maybe changing some kind of dress code and things like that around the public safety. We talked.
Commissioner Carter.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I interject? I was going to say you can definitely do that. I think maybe the best approach would be to add a section in the commission meeting where you discuss that specific topic. So if you want to handle one topic per meeting just to keep things focused, or if you want to look at a couple things, but you can definitely add that as part of the agenda so that you can discuss.
Okay, okay. So that's what I would like to, because we do need to, especially if we're talking about reporting, we need to have these thoughts. Aren't we supposed to be basically making recommendations to the mayors and the other councils about some, programs or initiatives we can put in place around these big areas, the big buckets? And so we were doing that. And we need, I think, a real focused time. So we know that's what we're doing, and we're on it, capturing, the ideas and so forth. Does it make sense?
I'm looking at the public meeting schedule. The next, the next city council meeting is on the 13th of July.
Oh.
And our next commission meeting is on the 21st of July. But there's another remember, there's 2 a month. So the next July meeting of the city council will be July 27th, which I think it'd be better for us to shoot for, so that at least we have at least one other commission meeting before we would be on the agenda. What do you guys think? So we would be on the agenda once a month. There's 2 city council meetings a month. I believe that the 27th would be more realistic to shoot for rather than the 13th, because I would think that having another commission meeting before we do to vote finally on what we're going to do would be prudent. But I think that going ahead and doing what we need to do to make sure we're on that agenda is okay. And I want to make sure that so what Vice Chair Carter just mentioned, let's add it to the we can add it to the agenda of this meeting, right? Or do we have to add it to the next?
Needed to add to the next meeting.
Maybe needed. Okay, so we would have to add that to the agenda of next meeting, right? So that would be.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's fine.
So we have time. So it would be a planning. Basically, it's like a planning section. It's a working section where we'll be like really capturing, the ideas and putting them in the buckets.
Yeah, it will literally be drafting the report.
Yeah, and if we're and we can make the decision. So we agreed that the first report is going to address like the public safety bucket, and one of the big things is the cameras at the in Lancaster.
So, Vice Chair, the first report we're going to do is going to have 3 components. So, The first component would be public safety, and what we just voted on was that component will include the upgraded surveillance at the sheriff's station. But in another component,
outside of the station too, we got to specify, because they just got new cameras inside of the station. Maybe he said a year or 2 ago, but the outside of the station is the problem.
Okay.
Like in the parking lot.
Right.
Okay.
So, okay. So wait, I want to make sure I'm understanding how we're, what our process is.
Absolutely.
So, because I thought, okay, we're going to present that we are addressing 3 areas, right? That'll be what we'll present at the city council, right? That we have these 3 areas that the Social Equity Commission we're going to be looking at building initiatives in these 3 areas, right? And so at some point, are we giving them reports, not all at the same time, but at different commissions will give a report or create a report to present on the public safety area.
Okay, so at the city council meeting on July 27th, we will be presenting our first equity report to the city council. By our next commission meeting, which is going to be July 21st, we will make a final vote on what that will look like and and what each 3 component will be for that specific report. And that's where it's gonna come in on that work. And you follow me? So this next city council is July 27th. Our next commission meeting is on July 21st. That's when we will finalize what that report will look like. And because it's going to be our first report, I do believe that it's important for us to talk about the surveillance on the outside of the sheriff's station. But I also think that it doesn't have to be something that is huge. It could be, this is where we're headed. This is what you're going to expect out of this commission at least every month. And it's something, and then quarterly, you're probably going to get, we're going to have something. I don't think we have to say that in city council, but I think that at least quarterly we will have something bigger than our first one. You feel me? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Can I make a suggestion, Chairman?
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I know we have a goal of getting something to council July 27th. I think we take the next month to gather the information that you want to include as part of the report, and start putting that report together. And I think the goal is to make sure that you submit something that really reflects what you want the council to know and the recommendations that you want to share. So if at that time, if we find that we either need more time, or there's additional areas that we want to include, we have the option of extending to the next month, right? So it doesn't have to be, because I think a month is going to be a pretty short time frame to get a report done and then approved and then everybody on board with it. And if this is going to be your first report out of the gates, we want to make sure everybody's comfortable with it and it has all the information that you want it to contain. So let's work toward the 21st. let's see what we can achieve by that point. And then if needed, we can always, we can decide to move to provide that report to the council the following meeting. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And I would
Sounds
agree.
like common sense to me.
And I would also make sure that everybody understands just because we recommend for the city council to do something doesn't mean they're going to do it.
Right.
So make sure we have that back of our head. But that's
I gotta jump. Is that okay for me to jump off, or we want to?
No.
Okay.
Hey, are you?
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Who's chairing this meeting, Vice Chair?
I'm sorry.
That's fine.
I'm gonna try to be good.
I believe that we are all done with votes. So yeah, go ahead.
All right. Thanks, guys. Sorry.
Okay. Good night, Zach.
Thank you.
Bye.
I would go ahead.
Because so I'm thinking that our first report looks like this. It's high level. It's letting them know, I guess our mission and all of that. But in that one, I feel like that's where we present to them that these are the 3 key areas that we're going to be focused on making recommendations for programs and initiatives. And then maybe even in the first report is the low-hanging fruit, the things that are like quick and you can get approval on them. But I think the first one is going to be more high level. It should be, just really not as deep dive and detailed as what I'm thinking. Because I'm thinking of the planning process and really doing a whole way, like mapping out initiatives and programs and using the SMART model and all of that as we do it. So it's going to be more time consuming and more detailed, but I would think that our first report should be more high level. It's our introductory report, right?
Yes, I would agree with you. And I would say that I'm ready to go ahead and do that committee work and take that time in the next meeting. And if you want to definitely spearhead it next meeting, I'm definitely, because I know that you have, I know you already have it. You have the idea of how it goes, right? And we've had that meeting between the two of us that I believe we could just do it like that, or even I can help, So, but I would also say that everybody do a one page. Everybody do a one page on what you think the equity report should look like. Everybody do one page, and then when we come back to the commission meeting, we will use everybody's one page. We will have a discussion on it, and then we will draft it. We would draft our report accordingly. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. I think that's a great process. Yeah. I think so.
I forgot to tell Zach that before he got off. Well, I'll text him, and I'll make sure Commissioner Deloche knows as well.
I also think it's a good idea. I do know, the whole planning thing, but I think that, it really does serve us well to have younger talent displayed in this organization. And pretty much everybody's young except for me. So, I'm just saying that. I just think, it's this, we're talking about like readiness, right? Career readiness and corporate readiness and business ownership readiness. And all of this is these are places where that readiness can happen. So I definitely will be here, feeding, but the leads are, I don't know how to.
I see where your head is at.
You see where I'm going?
When we do the committee work, we're going to need your expertise to plan. But when we go do the actual report, definitely, I understand where you're at. We will choose as a commission who will actually be the ones presenting to the city council.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, thank you.
So so again, one page, everybody. Let's do it. Let's draft our first one. Let's get the low-hanging fruit. Let's get the things. And when we say low-hanging fruit, we're not just saying easy wins. We're saying the things that need to be done immediately. So let's make sure we do that as well. Let me see. I have my notes here. I believe we're ready to move on to public business from the floor. If anybody decides to join at our commission meeting in the last 30 minutes to an hour.
Okay. At this time, anyone wishing to comment on non-agendized items, please press *9. I will announce the last 4 digits of your calling number when it is your turn to speak. Please state your name and eliminate any background noise. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Please keep in mind, state law prohibits commission from taking action on items not listed on the agenda. Please press *9 at this time if you wish to comment on non-agendized items. No speakers for non-agendized items.
Okay, commissioner comments. I will first. Let's make sure that you guys are looking out for your emails with staff so that we can schedule, so we can know when. Yes, I'm gonna feed you as soon as this is so that we can so we can go to these meetings. Let's go to these meetings. Criminal justice. Zach's already on the sheriff boosters. Let's get in these spaces so that we can come report back to the commission. I'm very particular about criminal justice right now in those city council meetings. So let's get on those schedules and let's go. Get vaccinated. I'm going to my first vaccination, getting my first shot on Monday. The sooner you all get vaccinated, the sooner we can go have our meetings inside of council chambers. Get vaccinated. When we talked about going out in the community, I know that where my sphere of influence is, where my strength is, I have my ear to the streets. I'm always out there. I'm always at a park. I'm always hanging out. I'm always I'm even go to the park and just talk to people about our commission, like tell them who we are. What do you think that the city council should know? So it's going to be very important for you guys to be edified when you're doing that, be able to be identified. There's a link that you're going to be getting out so that you can schedule to go to HR to get your access badges, to get your city badges. I've got mine. I went to HR to go get mine. We're also commissioning our star badges as well. That's going to come in handy, especially with young folk, because I know, Gio, they're going to look at me and you and be like, you a what? A commissioner from where? Where's the proof? And like, right here. And you're like, whoa, really? Yeah, I told y'all we wasn't playing. But yeah, so definitely look out for those so that you guys go get your badges. It's literally going to be our portraits that we took on that badge. So, floor is open. Any comments from the commission?
Do you have to take your vaccination papers to get your badge? Is that what you're saying?
No, I wasn't vaccinated yet. My badge, but you still have to wear a mask. And if you're not vaccinated, you have to wear a mask. And there's look out in your email as well. I believe all city employees have been sent after the governor's new order, the guidelines that the city is still abiding by when it comes to mask wearing and who's back, because they have a list of who's vaccinated. So if one person's not vaccinated in that room, everybody in that room has to wear a mask. So let's make sure we're getting vaccinated. I don't even believe you need an appointment. Just go to the fairgrounds and let's get it done. But yeah, I don't think you need just to go get the badge. Any other comments, guys?
Okay, good to know.
All right, hearing none. I'm going to again. This was a good meeting, guys. I appreciate it. You guys have some issues, but the work that I do here in the city of Lancaster and do with you guys gives me so much hope for the future. You guys have no idea. So this meeting is adjourned. The next regular meeting for the Social Equity Commission will be Wednesday, July 21st, 2021 at 5:00 p.m. 1 pages. We're in there. We're going to do it. I'm sure everybody knows. You guys have a great day, okay?
All right. Good night.